Blog Talk Radio.
The funeral is about to begin.
The calling hours.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding? Kill all my death. So my love.
Calling hours. This is your host, Michael Jones, the Dedman from HorrorSociety.com. Tonight, as my guest host, I have the new kid on the block at Horror Society, our new writer, Miss Holly Von Doom. Miss Holly, say hello to everybody.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sweet. I don't have to hold my phone.
So say hello to everyone who's listening.
Hello, everyone.
So, as I mentioned, you're the new writer at Horror Society. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about why you're into horror and how you got involved with Horror Society?
Why I'm into horror? Who knows why we're into horror? We're freaks. But I'm a big slasher fan. I think some of our writer conversations prove that a little bit.
It's true. It's true.
I'm pretty much a diehard slasher fan. A little bit in love with Kane Hodder, but it's all good.
Well, I mean, there's no shame in that. Things go well. Actually, I'm supposed to be working on a film with him later this year or early next year. So hopefully that'll come through. But tell us how you found Horror Society and how you got involved with writing with us.
I was actually writing with another website called Horror Writers, and I was just randomly one day looking at other similar websites with maybe a little bit more of a following and came upon you guys and was like, whoa, awesome. And Mitch actually messaged me and asked if I would be interested in writing with you guys, and hell yeah.
Well, good call on Mitch's end. Mitch, I hope you're listening. The executive decisions you continue to make on behalf of... That's right. The executive decisions Mitch continues to make behind the scenes at Horror Society keep us going. I don't know what we would do without him, so... But, I'm glad things are going well. How's the audience response been for you with your writing?
I've been blown away. I think my Hatchet review, my review of the Hatchet series, got quite a big reception, and I was pretty impressed. I actually got tweeted by Caroline Williams, which I freaked out a little bit.
It's always nice when someone's work that you're covering recognizes what you do. I mean, we appreciate the effort, certainly, that they put into doing their work, and, we try to reciprocate the favor as much as we can. So I'm glad that you're getting a good response. And, Horror Society, a little bit of shilling, I guess, if people want to call it that, but, Horror Society is a good site to write for. Like I said, Mitch takes care of us, lets us write. It's truly appreciated. So, but let's get into the news a little bit. This evening we have a few interesting bits of news from different sites around the internet, and including Horror Society itself, of course. But what we're looking at here, the first thing on the list, will be the rumors of an Army of Darkness 2, Evil Dead 4, whatever you may want to call it. Bloody Disgusting ran an article, and Fede Alvarez says that Sam Raimi is determined to get Army of Darkness 2 going next.
She's already writing
so,
it. I'm excited.
Well, yeah, I mean, what they're saying is that it's the fourth Evil Dead film, tentatively titled Army of Darkness 2. He's talking about he wants to get this off the ground now, even before a sequel to the remake, reimaging, whatever you want to call it, of the last Evil Dead.
Which I am totally okay with.
What, the remake? No, the remake.
I'm okay with them skipping over remaking 2 or retelling 2 and just making an Army of Darkness 2. Because that's my favorite.
I mean, I'm with you on that. Now, Bruce Campbell, who, was Ash in Army of Darkness and made the remake, he's on record as saying that we have to figure out what we want to do because there wasn't a huge long-term 18-movie plan. These sequels, remakes, whatever you want to call them, they just come out of nowhere. So, like I said, Fede Alvarez is making the comments that that Raimi is definitely more focused on Army of Darkness 2 than Evil Dead 2. And as you had mentioned, he had said that Raimi was already writing it. He's really determined to get Army of Darkness 2 happening. He told exclusively to Bloody Disgusting. He's actually writing it right now. So, it's, for fans of the series, whether it be, the remake or, the originals, here's the chance to get what we wanted. We may see Bruce Campbell back in the role of Ash.
I really
what
hope
are your
so,
thoughts?
and I really hope it's more than just a little one-liner after the credits.
Well, no, I mean, if this is going to be
the Evil Dead
Darkness,
remake.
Oh. Well, and then they lied to us with that because they told us there was no uncut footage, and then there was that unreleased footage they released. It's hard to say, but I mean,
Fibbers.
As a fan, I mean, I'm assuming you enjoyed the originals much more than you did the remake. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on after all these years of Sam doing another movie, and Bruce coming in and playing Ash, and where do you want to see it go? I
really just want to see them put him back as Ash and make him the main character, because that would make my life complete.
Now, do you think
even if
where do
he's
you
old now, but he can just be old Ash. It's okay.
Well, I mean, he didn't do too bad on Burn Notice, But, the question is which ending do you want to see them take from? Do you want them to do the one where, it's at S-Mart at the end, or do you want to do the one where he wakes up at the end of time?
I think, just for continuity's sake, the original ending where he's in S-Mart, I think would make a little bit more sense. Because I think it'd be kind of hard to do a movie from the point of the world's over. There's not really.
Now, let me ask you this. As much as we wanted to see, Bruce Campbell in another one, what did you think about the rumors of them having Ash in the Freddy vs. Jason sequels?
That is another one I really want to see. I really want to see Freddy vs. Jason versus Ash. That would be amazing. Coming from a huge slasher fan. I did. I read the Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness. I didn't read the Freddy vs. Jason versus Ash comics though.
Yeah, those got intense. It was there were 2 series in that, so I mean those were pretty entertaining. So. But on to our next news item. Of course, later on this evening, we will be interviewing Sarah French and Joe Knetter. I've known Sarah for several years, interviewed her back under her previous screen name of Scarlet Salem. And our Metal Blade Spotlight tonight will be on the Black Dahlia Murder from Metal Blade Records, of course, off of their album Ever Black. So we'll be getting to that, and of course we will have our Scream Factory DVD review of Psycho 2, but also this evening, for those of you listening, what's that?
I said I love Scream Factory.
Scream Factory puts out great
Talking
DVDs.
to myself over here.
But we will, tonight's prize for the call-in winner, tonight we will be giving away a Blu-ray copy of Psycho 2 as well as a standard definition release of Day of the Dead. So whoever calls in tonight wins, you're getting 2 DVDs, a Blu-ray and a regular DVD. So make sure to listen for that. So we definitely want to promote our friends out there. So speaking of Scream Factory, the Blu-ray and DVD details have been released for Night of the Comet. I don't know if you've ever seen this one, Holly. This is, it's one of the ones that I love. It's supposed to be coming out in November. What they're looking at is a street date of November 19th. It'll be an anamorphic 1.781 widescreen transfer, 1080p, of course. Let's see, what else have we got? It's got audio commentary with the writer and director. It's got audio commentary with the stars Maroney and Stewart, and audio commentary with production designer John Muto. And then it's got an interview segment, Valley Girls at the End of the World with Maroney and Stewart, Last Man on Earth interview with actor Robert Beltran, Curse of the Comet interview with special makeup effects creator David Miller, still galleries, official stills, and a theatrical trailer. It's going to be retailing at $29.93, but the first 200 people who order it for $21.95 from Shout Factory's website will get an exclusive 18 by 24 poster featuring the new commissioned cover artwork for the film. So once again, Scream Factory is putting out, another great movie from, my childhood. And for those of you that don't know the premise, the premise of the movie is Catherine Mary Stewart and Kelly Maroney play sisters who are among the few survivors after a passing comet turns Earth's inhabitants into dust or hungry zombies. The movie stars Robert Beltran and Mary Warrenov, along with Sharon Farrell and Jeffrey Lewis. Again, another astounding Blu-ray release from them. Do you remember this film at all?
I've actually never seen this one, but it's a Scream Factory, so I'll probably end up getting it because I love them.
Right. Well, the hits keep coming with these guys. I was speaking to my guy Tom Chen out there, and he was telling me that they just got the DVDs in for John Carpenter's Body Bags, and I'm looking forward to. Anything by Scream Factory, I'm more than willing to check out. But they still got Psycho 2 and 3 are getting ready to come out. What was it? Prince of Darkness, I believe, actually streets today. The Amityville.
That came out today.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. If you haven't read my review on Horror Society, everyone, go to www.horrorsociety.com and just check out the site. But that movie just looks so amazing on Blu-ray. It's definitely worth the check out. And, if their past releases are any indication, this version of Night of the Comet's just going to be phenomenal. And, they have a few more things coming up I'm not allowed to talk about right now, but, it's... Yeah, that's the problem sometimes when you know people. You can't spill everything you know. Sometimes you got to keep trade secrets, and it's not fun, but you got to do it. But
it's fun knowing, but it's not fun not getting to talk about it with anyone.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part of the whole business. But now, what's your favorite Scream Factory release right now?
My favorite right now is definitely going to be The Fog.
Yeah, The Fog was excellent.
That was the newest one that I picked up. And I'm really excited for the Vincent Price collection.
Yeah, and I still don't, I have not received an email with confirmation of what the films are. I'm kind of hoping that they're the old Roger Corman, Edgar Allan Poe movies that he did, like Tomb of Ligeia, The Mask of Red Death, and all that stuff. I mean, I would love to see all that in that box set, but I'll have to keep checking my email, or I'll have to pester Tom some more and get some answers as to what's in that set. So if you guys want to pre-order that, especially, for the 18 by 24 artwork, because, they do...
Do it.
Yeah, well, what they do, for people that don't know, they do alternative artwork for the DVDs, and it's flippable so that you can either have the original cover art, from the original DVD or the VHS, and then they commission an artist to do new artwork. So if you don't like the new artwork, you can always flip it over. But the posters are really nice. You can have them framed. If you're the kind of person that goes to conventions and things like that, they're a cool alternative to have your favorite actor or actress sign it. It's just something different, and it's one of the cool things that Scream Factory adds to their products. So it's another interesting bit of news on the heels of all the news about the new Halloween Anniversary Edition release and Jamie Lee Curtis doing her...
today at the store.
What's that?
I went to the store this morning specifically trying to find Halloween, and they didn't have it. I was sad.
I don't think the street date for that has come yet. I think it's coming out real soon. But of course, as on the Fog, Jamie Lee Curtis for the first time really spoke about her early horror career and things like that, and she's doing all the a lot of the commentary and all the bonus features for the new Halloween edition. It's been announced. Fangoria has an article announcing that Jamie Lee Curtis and Steve Miner together again for an ABC family horror series. And it basically reads that Steve Miner, who did Friday the 13th Part 2 in Lake Placid, is reuniting with his Halloween H2O star and one of the great scream queens, Jamie Lee Curtis, for a potential series entitled The Final Girls. Deadline reports The Final Girls will focus on a group of girls who have, in essence, survived their own personal horror stories and are brought together by a mysterious older woman, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, to channel the stress and scars of their experience for some greater good. Curtis, of course, had her career made by John Carpenter's Halloween and recently discussed her time with the director and the Halloween films on Scream Factory's Blu-ray of The Fog. Miner has helmed the aforementioned Friday the 13th sequel, the best Friday the 13th sequel, as well as Part 3, the William Cat cult classic House, Warlock, and more. He directed a number of episodes for ABC Family series Switched at Birth as well. This could be interesting. It's ABC Family, and I realize that horror is not necessarily always adult. I wish it was. I think a lot of it would be better. But what do you think after all of those years of Jamie Lee Curtis? I wouldn't say dissing her horror roots, but not really wanting to talk about it. And now all of a sudden with Halloween's 35th anniversary, the Fog Blu-ray release, and now this, what do you think about her coming back to horror?
I'm not really sure how I feel about it. This is kind of one of those shows. I mentioned it in my review of the first season of Grimm. It's a really awesome concept, but I have the feeling it's going to be very poorly executed.
See, and that's...
Because ABC Family is not exactly known for their thrilling...
Well, no, the funny thing was the best thing they ever did was like the Goosebumps stuff. But... Yeah. It's... when you have, to me, when you have a name like Jamie Lee Curtis, and her feelings on horror and everything, when you're going to involve her in a series, especially horror, I think you're trying to drive more of an audience, like our age. You're trying to draw the horror movie fans. I mean, the casual fan will tune in because it's Jamie Lee Curtis, but I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's. You watch someone who, that's where she got her start in her career, and she evolved in her career, and that's understandable. But, I mean, like I said, for years, she was just so cold and distant and just wouldn't talk about it, And, I mean, do you think that, most fans are going to embrace her back? I doubt any online petitions are going to start.
the hardcore Halloween fans like myself and a few good friends will embrace it just because we love Halloween, so we'll be happy to welcome her back. But I have a feeling this show is going to have some tentative air quotes around the horror genre. I have a feeling it's going to be more of a drama than a horror show.
Well, it's just hard, especially with it being ABC Family. I had such high hopes for the Teen Wolf series that's on MTV or MTV2. But, laugh if you want, but you got to remember, if you watch like those first 2 episodes, you kind of felt like, okay, this might actually be going somewhere, and then it turned into the soap opera drama that it's become.
Yeah, it's going somewhere. It's going into a wall.
Exactly, and then it's too early to tell, but I'm kind of getting that same impression off of Sleepy Hollow. You know what I mean?
I didn't even watch it.
I mean, it wasn't terrible, but I can just see where it's going to be. Damn it, if you want to watch Dark Shadows, why don't we just bring Dark Shadows back?
Yes.
Please. Maybe Sleepy Hollow will prove me wrong. It'll keep going, and I'll see something in it that I like, and we can only hope, but we'll see what happens with that. But the next bit of news, one of my favorite directors, and this movie's gotten a lot of attention, is a lot of critics are apparently panning it, and it's hard to say because I haven't seen it yet, and I've always loved his work.
I think it looks amazing.
What's this? What's that?
I said I think it looks amazing.
Well, our good friend Mike Hoovenall over there at Horror Society posted this article, and I felt like we should bring it to the attention of the podcast. Dario Argento has done Dracula 3D, and the official trailer came out on the 19th. IFC Midnight has released a trailer for Argento's Dracula 3D, directed by, of course, Dario Argento, and starring his beautiful daughter. It's also got Rutger Hauer in it. So let that sink in for a second. It does say that it's opening in select theaters and will be available on VOD as well as other digital outlets, including iTunes, beginning October 4th. I haven't seen his name listed anywhere, but with it being Argento, I'm praying that Udo Kier has a spot in this movie somewhere. But the plot premise of the movie is horror master Dario Argento returns with a bloody, luridly creepy 3D version of the classic vampire tale, drenched in gore and sex. An unsuspecting Englishman arrives in Transylvania, lured by a job with a local nobleman. But the undead Count Dracula's real target is the man's innocent young wife. Featuring the iconic Rutger Hauer as the vampire hunter Van Helsing and the inimitable Asia Argento as a local all too eager to fall under the Count's sway. I watched the trailer. I'm with you. I can't wait for this. I love Argento's work anyway. And the poster is just amazing for the film. But not only that, Rutger Hauer is playing Van Helsing. I mean, move over, Hugh Jackman. Move over. Rutger Hauer has come to take his role. I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, with everything that vampires have become, with the glittering and the sparkling and the touchy feelings, what do you think about the man, Dario Argento, walking in and showing people what vampires truly are?
I have a feeling this is going to be a shotgun blast of the Twilight vampire's face. So it's just going to blow him out of the water. Got to bring back the real vampires.
I mean, I would hope so. I mean, it's, I don't think, a lot of his modern day stuff, it's, I like his work, all of it. And a lot of the younger fans, they don't seem to appreciate some of his newer stuff. And, it's hard to replicate Suspiria and, Deep Red and all these other fantastic movies that he did. I mean, one of my favorites was the Stendhal Syndrome. I mean, it was an interesting film. I liked his concept. You know, it's interesting how his daughter's in all of his movies, and there's some scenes that are kind of creepy for a father-daughter to be working on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, how weird was it to have him watch his daughter act like that?
You know, but I mean, that also shows, you know, a level of trust between actor and director.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, there's something to be said for that, but yeah, I don't see how this can go wrong. It'll be interesting to see, especially with it playing in October. It'll be interesting to see how it does in the theaters, and if it warrants a wider release. Now, where I live in North Carolina, odds are this ain't coming nowhere near me, and I live in Raleigh, so it's the Bible Belt thing there. It's just probably not coming. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I really hope it comes here. Well, I'm kind of in the middle of the Midwest, but it's St. Louis.
Right. Well, St. Louis, you would have a pretty decent chance.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because I really want to see it in theaters.
Well, you know, then we have Mitch out there in Chicago, so hopefully, you know, he could get to see it at least.
I'll drive to Chicago to see it.
I mean, I don't know if it'd be worth the drive for me, you know, from Raleigh to Chicago. That's kind of hard for a movie, but yeah, the poster work for it's phenomenal too. I mean, I'd hang that in my wall in a second. You know,
I think it's going more towards the old style movie posters, and I love that.
Oh yeah, I mean the artwork is phenomenal. I don't know what else to say about that. It's just so pretty.
It's nice to look at.
It is. Excuse me. Well, one of the things that we're thinking about doing at Horror Society, and the team and I have been talking about it, we're thinking about doing a Horror Society Hall of Fame, something that we would do every year right around the month of October. So we would be interested in hearing from our listeners. If you want to hit us up on Facebook, or if you know any of us on Facebook, you know, send us a message. You know, let us know what you would like to see from us as a horror site for a Horror Hall of Fame. You know, what categories would you be interested in? We already have, you know, director, actor, actress, effects artist, film, author. You know, we don't want to get too crazy. We don't want to have like 50 categories, but we definitely want to get something out there. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Miss Von Doom? What do you think about a Horror Society Hall of Fame?
I think it's a brilliant idea, which I still have to make my final decisions on my choices, which I have no idea on some of them.
You know, I just think it's,
some
you
of
know,
them I know for sure.
It'd be something a little different to do, you know. It's something interactive that you know, the people that come to the site can look at. You know, for people who win, you know, we're definitely thinking, you know, I'm thinking about doing something for an actual award. You know, it would be great to get comments from the actors or actresses that won, you know. So
yeah.
I just think it's a fun thing, and you know, in a lot of ways, it's a learning experience too. You know, there'll be, especially on the first ballot, you know, there may be people nominated that most people don't know. You know, like one of the things, you know, most people would automatically say Tom Savini, and 99% of the time, yes, I would agree with you. But you know, there's another guy out there who I feel is equally as talented. You know, he goes by the name of Gianetto De Rossi. You know, worked on a lot of Lucio Fulci films and things like that, you know, and I feel like he's just as much a master. So,
as far as SFX go, I'm going with John Carl Buechler there. He's an awesome guy. John Carl Buechler?
Oh, yes. Friday the 13th.
He's an awesome guy. I got to meet him about a month ago.
See, now that's cool. How was he? I mean, you know. He's
super nice. I actually got to hang out. Him and Kane Hodder were like catty corner, right in the corner at the convention. It was Contamination in St. Louis, for those of you around that know of it. And I got to hang out in that little corner most of the weekend and talk to both of them and hear some really neat stories. Mostly about
pretty cool.
Hatchet.
Well, since we're on that topic, since you're a big Kane Hodder fan and you brought up Hatchet, what did you think of the latest Hatchet? I have not had a chance to see this yet, so.
It's my favorite of the three. It's obvious it had a much bigger budget. I think mostly due to the popularity and the fame of the first two and the excitement to have a third. It had a way bigger budget and definitely some familiar faces, which I was excited about.
Yeah, I saw that listed myself. There were Danielle Harris.
Mostly Caroline Williams.
Yeah, Caroline Williams, yes. So I have not seen the second one either. I've only seen the first one, but the first one I thought was relatively entertaining. I'm just have so much to watch thanks to Scream Factory. It's hard to watch things recreationally anymore.
I think honestly the coolest thing about watching all three of the Hatchet films is watching the progression of the special effects.
With the budget getting
because
higher.
If you look at Victor from the first one to the third one, there's a crazy difference in the makeup, how different he looks, but it's better.
Well, even though he can't die, the savage beatings that his body takes in these movies, you figure he wouldn't look pretty by the time Part 3 came around. That was the one thing I liked about Kane Hodder when he played Jason in that string of Friday the 13th movies was, even though the makeup was a little different each time, there was still that progression, especially when he was when he came out from the lake in Part 7. I mean, he looked like he was just dry rotted and the fish had been eating him. And so, being a special effects artist, I tend to key to that kind of stuff myself. So, well, in about 13 minutes, our special guests should be coming on. Once again, we will have actress and model Sarah French come on. Like I said, I've known Sarah online for several years and had the pleasure of interviewing her early in her career when she did work with NFTS Productions up in Minnesota with Jason Stevenson and doing Terror Overload and movies like that. And Joe Knetter, who may be one of the creepiest writers on the internet. Have you had a chance to read any of his stuff yet?
I've not, but after tonight I will definitely be staying up late checking some out.
He's if you go to his website and we'll get all of that info out here in a little bit. He's got he's got books out, and then he's got stories that are free on the website, and I've read a couple of them today, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's pretty cool. I was I was kind of impressed. And if he has a page on a site where different people in the genre have read his work, and to read some of the comments from some of the people are hysterical. But we'll be getting to them in about 12 minutes from now. But before we get to that, we're going to get to that point in the evening where we're going to talk Metal Blade Records, and we're going to talk about the Black Dahlia Murder for a few moments. The Black Dahlia Murder is an American, most would say melodic death metal, but with this last album, I feel like they're leaning more towards a more brutal death metal sound, but they're from Michigan, and they formed in 2000. And yes, the band's name is derived from the 1947 unsolved murder of Elizabeth Short, often referred to as the Black Dahlia. Now, before we start playing this, I have to ask you, Miss Von Doom, what kind of music do you normally listen to?
This isn't really my kind of music, but I would definitely willing to give it a listen. I'm a big rockabilly fan, actually. Okay, nothing wrong with that. And it's just here on the calling hours, our tastes tend to get into the harder metals and things like that. So without further ado, our first song of the evening is going to be from the Black Dahlia Murder's Ever Black album. The song is entitled "In Hell Is Where She Waits for Me."
We'll get back to you all in 5 minutes. Enjoy.
I shall
that was the Black Dahlia Murder Ever Black album, In Hell Is Where She Waits for Me, from Metal Blade Records. Make sure to go to metalbladerecords.com and check them out. Also, make sure to check them out on Facebook. So tonight, once again, my co-host on the calling hours is Miss Holly Von Doom, the newest writer at Horror Society. So, Holly, what do you think so far?
The only female writer.
There's nothing wrong with that. That gives you a unique perspective on things. And that's part of what Horror Society is about. It's nice having a society where we can talk about different cultures and aspects in horror and, be relatively civil about it. But a little bit later, in about 4 minutes, we should be joined by our guests, Sarah French and Joe Knetter. Sarah French, where do we even begin about Sarah? I interviewed Sarah back in 2000, I want to say it was about 2009. And back then, she was going by the name of Scarlet Salem. And when we get to the interview, I will ask her why she went away from that. I thought it was a unique name. I like how she marketed herself with that. And then Joe Knetter will be joining us as well. Joe is quite the writer, both books and, screenplays, scripts. He's also an actor, producer, stunts. Interesting thing was, with Sarah, I was supposed to actually meet Sarah back in 2009. I've been talking to a guy by the name of Jason Stevenson, who owned NFTS Productions up in Minnesota. These guys have put out, a bunch of very fun to watch, well put together horror films. And I was supposed to go up and actually help with Strip Club Slasher. I was supposed to go up and do effects, but middle of my divorce, things just kind of fell apart on that, unfortunately. But Sarah was one of the leads in the film, and Joe also had, he was the screenwriter for that film, as a matter of fact, and he has a part in the film as well. Yes, he does have a role in that one. That's right. So, I missed out on my opportunity to work with these guys, and I've regretted it ever since. Sarah has certainly gone on to do a lot more film. I mean, she started out with Your Next Three, Pajama Party Massacre, Tales of the Dead, Terror Overload, Camp Kill, Incest Death Squad, Strip Club Slasher, of course, Shriek of the Sasquatch, Potpourri, The Bitch That Cried Wolf, Zombie Pirates, which I really want to see. I have not.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's slated for this year. I don't know if that has been released yet. We will definitely be asking Sarah about Zombie Pirates. And then she is going to be in Insectula as well. So, and then Joe has a lot of stuff.
on Netflix.
Yeah, I have to put it on after tonight. I didn't have a chance to check it out beforehand. But Joe, he's done a lot as a writer and a producer, of course. I'm definitely interested about Slasher 3D, whatever that is going to be. Like I said, having read some of his work earlier today, I am certainly curious as to how this one is going to turn out.
The magic S word. I'm interested.
What's that?
So it's the magic S word. I'm interested.
Oh, well, independent film, that's where these guys got their start, and, they're good at what they do. Like I said, I really regret not being able to work with them earlier on that film due to, other circumstances. But, I feel like this is the least I can do for them. Every time I've asked Sarah for an interview, a written interview for Horror Society or anything like that, she's always been more than gracious to come on, and, she's done interviews, and this is the first time I've had a chance to actually interview her. So, I'm really excited about it. and I want to see what they're doing now. And I know that both of them are really big metal fans as well. So I can't wait to talk to them about that. And as a matter of fact, it looks like they have both just called.
Yay.
Let's put them on. This is Mike Jones on Horror Society Radio, The Calling Hours. Am I speaking to Joe and Sarah?
Yes, you are.
We are here.
Hey, guys.
Well,
how you doing?
Well, you are as long as you can hear us.
Oh, I can hear you.
All right.
I can
but
hear you.
Can you really hear me? Can you feel?
Oh, I can hear you, Joe. I've been waiting for this for
my
years.
All right.
Well, I was telling everyone about you guys. Sarah, I don't know if you remember when I first interviewed you way back in 2009. That's when you were doing a lot of work for Jason Stevenson and NFTS Productions. And I was supposed to come up.
Wow.
I was supposed to come up and be one of the effects artists on Strip Club Slasher.
No kidding.
But I couldn't make it up, so that's when I did the interview with you to make it up to Jason and put the interview on Horror Society and everything. So that's how far back I follow you.
Oh my gosh,
and then
that was
Joe,
so long ago.
Well, I know you've come a long way since then, and we're definitely going to talk about that. But before we start getting all crazy into everything, let me introduce you guys to my co-host this evening. This is Miss Holly Von Doom. She is the newest writer at Horror Society, so don't be surprised if she contacts you for interviews and things like that. Say hello. Say hello, Holly.
Greetings, Holly.
So,
well, hey, let me cut you off before we go any further here.
Yes, sir.
Is there any words I can't say? Do I need to watch my language, or can we just say whatever?
You're on the calling hours.
That's
this is basically this is the viewing hours of the corpses. You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
There are no restrictions on you here.
Good. I was going to anyway, but I need to know ahead of time whether I should feel guilty later or not.
No.
Joe's very polite like that.
I don't know. I've read some of his stuff on Facebook late nights. It's
well, I
fun.
kind of have I have no internal censor, so if something pops in my head, I tend to just kind of say it.
And I have to live with them.
Well, now, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Didn't you guys meet on the set of you guys met on the set of Strip Club Slasher, didn't you?
No, actually on Pajama Party Massacre.
Oh, okay. So you guys had worked with each other 2 years previously then.
Yep. We had that was one of her first films, and I guess we shouldn't call it film. It's just a movie. But it was fun. I was working with her. We got to be friends, and kind of just went from there.
Well, I mean, as undercover as it could be, it's like I said, having been friends with you guys on Facebook for, the last couple years, you're kind of like horror's untalked about couple. You guys, you always post about going to shows, projects that you're working on, and you two are always together. From both sides, can you both kind of describe how is it working in the same genre together, and how does that help having someone else that really, truly understands your day?
Well, I can start. It's really awesome. I mean, just being able to work together, and he understands, when I have to go on film, do, travel and do all this. He gets it. He understands what I need to do and what I need to do to get there, and he supports me 100%. And I do the same. Like, if, whatever he has to do, I'm there for him. I support him, and it's great.
How about you, Joe?
I hate it. I mean, it sucks working with her and, having to look at her face all the time.
I mean, it must be terrible.
It
must be terrible.
No, it's good. It's good to have that support and be able to kind of go through it with each other. Because there's a lot of ups and downs when it comes to this. And I'm not talking about just the fucking. I mean, the career, there's things all over the place. So it's good. I mean, we have fun. Our main goal in life is just to have a good time.
Well, and you guys have worked together on several projects. When you, especially now that you've been together for a while, when you, Joe, especially for you, when you sit down to write a role, and Sarah's going to be in the film, are you, do you go about the process of her characters differently in the script than you would the rest of them, or you just write it out and Sarah, you just kind of go, okay, I'll play it that way? I mean, how does that dynamic work?
I try not to write it that way. I try to just write characters because as I'm writing it, what I'm really good at. So, what I do.
We're losing you, Joe.
Not. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay. I just moved down to my basement because we had this weird echo thing going with me sitting next to Sarah. So, all right, can't think any of that.
Honey, come up here.
All right, I'm gonna switch spots again. Sorry.
Okay.
While I'm doing that, just sit back and look at a picture of me online, and just get moist.
Actually, I have your website open right now. It's kind of scary that you said that.
Oh, he's getting moist.
So, I mean, Sarah, how is it for you? I mean, I've read some of Joe's writing, and I'm going to have to say a lot of the things that other people say. Joe, I'm just going to come out and say it.
All right,
You're
go ahead.
You, sir, are a sick bastard, but it's a good thing. It's...
Well, I'm done with this interview.
Now you made him cry.
I appreciate it. I mean, my shit's pretty fucked up. I know that. There's always a little bit of humor underneath it, I think, is which keeps me from, going to jail or having complete breakdowns. But I appreciate that. It's fucked stuff.
I got the humor when I was reading The Dishes.
Okay.
Ooh, that one's
dishes.
intense.
Well, what can I say? I hate doing the dishes.
Obviously, I will make sure not to. If I ever come over, I will not leave a dirty dish. That's for sure.
No.
Now, Sarah, for you, look, Joe's writing definitely extreme, and there's a lot of descriptiveness to it too. You can see the art behind what he writes. Now, when you're cast in a film for something that he's wrote, it kind of seems like he's pretty equal opportunity in the torture that gets handed out to anyone he writes about. How do you feel about that going into a role?
Oh, I'm fine with it. I mean, when he writes things, he'll write like a lot of things that me and him, just us, know about, like little words and things that he has people do or whatever. It's little humor that we get that nobody else would get.
Right.
But I don't mind it at all. It's it's a part of the job. It's I know he wouldn't write anything that I wouldn't I wouldn't be able to do. But
right.
It's, I mean...
And in a lot of ways, too. I mean, most of the roles she gets are on projects that I'm not even involved with at all.
Yeah.
So for the most part, that's not coming up too much.
Yeah, well, I mean, earlier in your career, I mean, what was it? Let me pull up your IMDb. What was it? I want to say it was... Well, because you wrote Terror Overload, and you were in that as well, weren't you, Sarah?
Yeah, that was before we got together.
Oh, okay.
Yep. He even Strip Club Slasher, I think he wrote before we even got together. So that was all before we even got together.
Oh, okay. So different dynamic then.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now one of the
mainly with them it was just me because we weren't together trying to get her topless.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Jason always used to make jokes to me on Facebook, and I never figured them out. Now they're all starting to make sense. I always knew. I tried to get him on here, but I guess he was out. I thought that would have been a fun little reunion to have the three of you on here. But now, one of the things that it mentions on your website, Sarah, is that you started modeling, and you were discovered at a metal concert. Can you tell us what concert it was and how that led to you modeling?
Well, I honestly, to this day, I try to remember what concert it was. I'm pretty sure it was a local show in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I can't remember what concert it was, but basically this photographer who he photographed a bunch of bands and other models, he was there, and he was doing, he was working, and apparently he liked my look, and he came up to me, he's like, he handed me his card, he's like, I love your look, I would love to shoot you. And I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, who is this creeper, I was like, whatever, and I put it in my purse, and I basically didn't even think about it for a few months, and then I came across this card one day, and I looked up his work, and I actually liked it, and I was like, wow, maybe I should give this a shot. And I gave him a call, and we set something up, and I shot with him, and it really all started from there. And then a few months after that, I've always wanted to be in a horror movie. That was like one thing. I was like, all right, before I die, I'm going to be in a horror movie. I just did it. I just wanted to check it out and see what that'd be like. And I was looking online under horror forums for Minnesota, and Jason Stevenson put up a post about being in a short horror movie. I was like, oh, I should check that out. And I went and did an audition, and they liked me, and that's where that all started.
Now, Joe, you're a huge metal fan as well. Now,
I love bands like Matchbox 20 and real metal.
Oh, yeah, well, like if you were listening earlier, you would have heard that Black Dahlia Murder is the Metal Blade band of the night tonight on the show, so we've been playing some Black Dahlia during the show.
I love Black Dahlia Murder, and obviously for those listening, I was kidding about Matchbox 20. I don't want to hear any shit about it on Facebook or anything, but yeah, Black Dahlia Murder is great. Actually, my last short story collection, Room, I wrote it listening to their album Ritual over and over again.
Now, have you heard the most recent album? What are your guys' thoughts on that one?
I do. I have it on vinyl. I like it a lot. It's Black Dahlia Murder through and through. With the new members, I kind of was wondering if it was going to stay the same or not, and it pretty much did. I mean, I think it's a great album.
Now, do you
Rates
guys
and Hatred is phenomenal. It's a lovely little Evil Dead song.
Yes.
Yes. I agree. Miss Holly, is there anything you would like to ask at the moment?
I have the cliche newbie questions.
Okay, just under 9 inches.
Get your jabs in. Go for it.
My main one is just what was your inspiration getting into horror?
Well, me personally, I've watched horror movies since I was a little kid, so I guess growing up and watching horror movies, that's my big inspiration. I was like, I want to be that girl screaming, running away from a killer, sort of thing. So, and I made it happen.
And it's very similar for me. Growing up, I always wanted to be that girl running away screaming. I grew up on horror, too. I mean, that's all I remember watching when I was a kid was horror films. My mom would take me to the drive-in to see, Friday the 13th and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of just what I always did. I always read Stephen King. Any kind of horror I could get, I'd watch and try to absorb. So later in life, getting a chance to work in it in any facet at all is really, really cool.
Now, of course, Joe, you write books. We have Room. One thing I'm going to ask you about, tell me a little bit about Zombie Bukkake.
All right. Zombie Bukkake. That's my novel. For anybody listening, if you don't know what the word bukkake is, Google search it and click video. You'll find out pretty quick. Zombie Bukkake's interesting because actually it was a fake book. When I do a lot of convention appearances, I used to do readings where I'd get up and read some of my stories. And there was one of them in Ohio. I was at Cinema Wasteland. One of the people there kind of, we were all really fucked up. And he asked me to say the word bukkake as many times as I could during my hour-long reading. So I went up and just made up this story on the spot about my new book, Zombie Bukkake, which wasn't real at all. It was completely fake. Based on that, the word got around, and a company that was doing a documentary for the History Channel called Fear Files Zombies contacted me to fly me out to L.A. to be interviewed for the documentary, which is completely ridiculous. So they flew me out. I'm credited on screen on the History Channel as author Zombie Bukkake, which, again, if you know what bukkake means, you know how just fucking stupid that is. And then after that, I kind of thought, maybe I should write the book. So I did.
We'll see a screenplay?
Yeah, it's a fucked up. It's definitely a fucked up book, but it's got a good heart. If you can get past all the zombies and cum and sex and weird things, there's a good heart. But,
Sarah, do you sometimes just have to step back and just laugh?
I don't step back. I stand right there and laugh. I'm right there with them.
But here, let's enough about our sex life. Let's talk about something serious.
All right. Well, we'll tie this together. Joe, do you primarily consider yourself more of a literary author or more in the film aspect?
I would say 50-50. I mean, when I started out, it was all about writing fiction. I got my start just by being online. I saw somebody had a post on the Fangoria message boards looking for stories. And I'd never written anything, so I wrote a couple stories and sent them off, and they took them all. And at that point, I kind of thought, well, this is kind of fun. I'd never been to a horror convention, any of that, so I went to my first horror convention. And from there, I kind of just thought, well, if I can write one book that one person buys and enjoys, then I'm a success. And everything after that has just been fun for me. So primarily in the beginning, it was all fiction, and then it kind of moved into the film work. With doing conventions, you meet a lot of people. I started getting little cameos and stuff like that, making connections. So I would say anymore it's about 50-50. I'll go through streaks with the fiction.
Now, Sarah, an interesting aspect that some people may not know, they may follow, just your film and your modeling career. You were featured in Gore Zone and Girls and Corpses, and by the way, that's where else we know each other. I was the first American writer for Gore Zone magazine in the early days. So I think we were in several of the same issues of that. But you also write a Screen Clean column for the UK-based Shock Horror magazine.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit how you got involved with that. And for both of you as writers, when you come across a block writing, do you find it easier to talk to one another to get through it, or do you kind of just leave each other on your own when it comes to your writing?
Well, real quick for me, the Screen Clean column is basically my experiences on film sets and, what I do on the average day and, things like that, like just fun, interesting, things to talk about and with film and traveling and stuff like that. But sometimes, if I'm like, crap, where should I go with this? Then I'll go to Joe and I'll be like, what do you think? And, he'll give me some pointers and tips, but overall, he just lets me do my thing, and I never have to give him any tips or help with anything because he does his own thing. That's what he does. Me, I'm not really a writer. I just, try to get some advice from him, see what he thinks, and something like that. But
as much as Sarah says I don't ask her for help, she's right, I don't. But she's helpful in other ways. I mean, anything I write, there'll be some portion of that story that has to do with, something I've experienced or real world type stuff. Or, if I'm hanging out with Sarah and she mentions something, and she may not even think it's anything important, but for me, I log it in the back of my head and save it up to try to twist it and turn it into something. Same with my kids, Katie and Megan. They'll always be throwing stuff at me that I just retain in the back of my head. I mean, the cover to Room is some tentacles. That actually came directly from my then 10-year-old daughter, Megan. We were outside having a bonfire telling scary stories at night, and she made up a story about an octopus that wanted to go around eating on people. And what stuck for me from that was the tentacles. So I used them on the cover of the book and then interjected tentacles into a story kind of as a little nod to what she did. So I take everything from everybody around me. I mean, I'm probably going to write a story based on this interview. I mean, it's probably going to be bad. It's going to be there's going to be a lot of weird shit going on. There's going to probably be some poop.
Well, you know. I mean,
I'm sure you've written about that many times, honey.
Yeah.
Holly, anything to interject? Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, getting back to the question a little earlier, I met Dean Bohr, who is the creator of Shock Horror Magazine. I believe he did a review on, was it Terror Overload, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, he reviewed Terror Overload in, was it Gore Zone?
Yeah, I think Gore Zone.
Yeah, because he wrote for them at that time, and he reviewed it, and he contacted me about a year or so after that and was like, hey, I'm starting up this new magazine. I'd love you to be the Scream Queen and have your own column in it, so to, you know, switch things up a little bit. So that's kind of how I got into that anyway.
Okay. Now, out of all the things that you do, with, you know, of course, the writing, the acting, the modeling, you know, which of those do you feel like is, I mean, do you feel like acting is truly your true calling at this point?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I love it. It's awesome being able to play a character and step out of your comfort zone and just play something completely different than who you are and just, you know, feel good about it. And it's a lot of fun. I get to travel, you know, all different places and meet a bunch of different people, and I love it. It's definitely something that I can see myself doing for many years to come.
Miss Holly, anything to add right now?
No.
You don't have any more? You don't have any questions?
Well, my other question is, if out of anybody in the horror industry, if you could work with anybody, who would it be? It's always my curiosity when I meet people.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. That's really, there's so many really good ones. I've been lucky enough to so far work with, you know, like Kane Hodder and John Carl Buechler and Caroline Williams, and that was very cool for me. But as to that ultimate horror person, God, I mean, Bruce Campbell would be a lot of fun.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
But you name it. I mean,
I can only imagine the Facebook post that night.
Yeah, it would be bad. it would be bad.
I can't imagine the back and forth between you two.
No kidding.
Oh, I would probably be fired pretty quick.
He's like, who is this guy?
Yeah, the indie stuff's probably better for me because people are tolerant. But you know, it would be good. And like I said, I've been lucky enough to get to work with some pretty cool people. And what about you, Sarah? I know you've been asked this before. Who is your current
Well, I would love to work with John Carpenter as a director.
Yeah.
I think that'd be freaking amazing. That would be like the holy grail for me.
I mean, that would be.
And I would certainly love to work with John Carpenter in the 80s.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's exactly. If you went back to his 80s roots, I mean, even if he didn't, I don't even care.
Yeah.
I don't know. Big Trouble in Little China would be pretty cool to be in, I think, but.
Oh my God, yes.
Actually, that's Kurt Russell. I think if I had to pick one person I'd like to work with, it would be Kurt Russell.
Me too.
I think he's probably the coolest guy in the world.
That's an interesting pick. I like that. Well, you have both of you have projects coming up that I don't know how much info you can give, but I'm going to ask anyway. Joe, one in particular that jumps out on me on your IMDb is something called Slasher 3D. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us anything about Slasher 3D?
As far as I know with that, it's currently in purgatory. That's one of them that had a lot of press at first and was looking good and then just kind of meandered away. So to be honest, I don't really have much info I can give on that one, other than when we wrote it, it was meant to be a kind of an 80s action film with a combination, slasher element to it. Very action heavy. But
was going to be shot in 3D?
Yes, it was going to be shot in 3D. Anymore, most everything with any kind of budget, it's always starting, we're going to do it in 3D, and then they decide quickly it's not cost effective. But the script for that one was pretty good, so I had my fingers crossed, but as far as I know, that's just kind of been shelved for now.
It looked like it could have had an interesting premise. Well, underneath that one, you have another one listed called Wasteland Metropolis in pre-production. Anything you can tell us on that one?
That's by the same guys that did Slasher 3D, and I actually don't have anything to do with that one. I have no idea why that's on my credit.
Okay, yeah, you're listed as writer on that one.
Yeah, no, I didn't write a word on that one.
Well, boy, I feel like a dick now.
No, it's not you. That's IMDb.
Yeah, because I tried looking up information on it, couldn't find anything. I'm like, well, he's going to be on the show. I'll just ask him. Yeah. So now we know.
I would guess that one's probably in purgatory too. Now I've done other projects with those guys. I did Monster Piece Theater. That was the project I did with Kane Hodder and John Carl Beekler, and Leslie Easterbrook was in that. And there were some cool people in there, so they've got other projects coming. Wasteland Metropolis is one that they were going to do, and they did talk to me at one point about working on the script, but we never kind of went anywhere with it, so I really don't know what the status of that one is.
Oh, okay. At least we know a little bit more. Well, hopefully if there's more on that, definitely send me an update on that so I can let everyone know.
Okay, will do.
Okay, Sarah, I've got two on yours, and Miss Von Doom and I were talking about this one. What can you tell me about zombie pirates?
Oh! Yes.
I got to know what's up with some zombie pirates.
Well, I don't think he has it up on IMDb yet, but I think I have it under my resume.
You do. It's on your filmography on your page. That's why I was asking about it.
That's right. Basically, I shot that in Mississippi, actually, I think it was in January or February, and it's from the same director that I did Shriek of the Sasquatch with, and Steve Sessions, and it's basically what the title says. I haven't really talked about it much yet because it's in post-production right now.
Okay.
But
it's being put out by Fred Olen-Ray, for those that know who Fred Olen-Ray is.
Oh,
I believe he did Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers and stuff like that, but I'm cutting in because that's what I do. Back to you.
But it's basically about pirate zombies and a curse, and I'm trying to figure it all out, and I'm throughout the whole movie, and I don't know, it was a lot of fun to shoot, and I'm looking forward to it. They're looking at possibly next year releasing it, so.
Okay, well, that's definitely one to keep an eye out for. And the other one that I've seen your name brought up with, and I just haven't been able to find a lot of information on it, is what can you tell us about Insectula?
Ah, yes. Well, that one's like it's basically a 50s style big bug movie. It's something you definitely see like on Sci-Fi Channel. we've been shooting it, I guess, for about the last couple of years, and it's so close to being finished. It's in post right now, but it's I mean, just a big killer bug comes and invades the world, and there's a crazy scientist trying to hide it and keep it for himself, and I play a prostitute in it.
Yep, that's my girl. Mike Peterson directed that one, and from what I've seen of it so far, it looks really good. They've really put the time in and are doing what they can to make it look really, really good.
All right. Well, we will definitely keep an eye out for that one as well. Now,
and you
for
should
both
probably,
of you,
Sarah, you should probably pimp out Lazarus while we're talking too, because Lazarus comes out, I think.
Yes.
Please tell us, please.
Another zombie movie I shot this year. They flew me out to LA to shoot some scenes for it, but it's basically a 50s style zombie movie. They're going back to kind of the Alfred Hitchcock feel to it. So
in black and white.
that one, black and white.
The director of that one is Thomas Churchill, who's also directing Hallow Point.
Okay.
Hallow Point, the project I wrote that's been floating around for a few years, that's kind of gone between a few people's hands. But if anybody's the show Monster Man on Sci-Fi, they did an episode called Forbidden Werewolf about a werewolf, and that was for that film, Hallow Point.
Guys, I think we have a mystery caller. Let's find out who it is.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Mystery caller, this is Mike Jones on Horror Society Radio, The Calling Hours. Who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with horror host Joe Flynn from the West Coast.
And how are you, good sir? How can we help you this evening?
Oh, I am doing great. I basically was calling in just to tell Sarah I enjoyed her performance in The Shriek of the Sasquatch.
Hi. Well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And Joe, keep writing those books. You're doing great. I've been told by everybody.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I can't really stop. I just keep putting the filth out there.
Oh, yes. Well, you guys are doing an excellent job, and keep doing it. I'm listening in. So, great job, Michael, and everyone.
Thanks, man. We appreciate
you.
You're welcome. Have a great night. Bye.
You too. NSTF or NFTF for some reason. I swear, that's who I thought it was going to be. But it's cool that the fans call in and kind of segueing into
every
that.
Every time I do one of these, there's a random call in. I always think, God, what the fuck have I done? That could come back to haunt me right now. It could be. You never know what they're going to say.
Yeah,
well, leading into that, having
on Facebook.
No, go ahead, Sarah.
Sorry.
Please.
I was just going to say, now that I remember, Joe's actually a pretty good friend on Facebook of ours, so thank you for calling in, Joe.
Yeah, I missed the name. I didn't hear his name, but cool.
Speaking of which, since we just had a fan of yours call in, you guys do a lot of the convention circuit, so you get to go around and, promote your films, and you get to meet a lot of your fans. Can you kind of explain, how is it on the road going to these conventions? How is it meeting your fan base? What do you guys think of people admiring your work the way that they do?
For me, it's kind of weird. I mean, I'm very appreciative of it. As obviously, first and foremost, I'm a horror fan, so going to the conventions and meeting the other guests and seeing people selling their stuff, screening movies, I think is great. I would go even if I wasn't involved in this side of it. So to have anybody come up and like anything I've done, for me is just absolutely amazing. And it's fun. I mean, you meet a lot of interesting people out there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we've made a lot of friends just by going to these conventions. You know, it's great. It's a great feeling, and it's like our second home. You know, we feel like we're at home, and we can relate to everybody there. You know, and it's just
right.
we go to have fun. We go to have fun, and we go to meet people and just party all weekend with people who are into the same thing we are.
Well, and that's
so
true. You know, the horror movie community is a very tight knit group. Now, going to these conventions, you know, of course, having films, you know, books, the magazines, all the stuff that you guys have done, that you've been out in. For both of you, what would be the weirdest thing you ever got asked to autograph? And even to this day, is it still weird to you to have someone ask you for your autograph?
Joe?
Yeah, it's always weird. You know, usually I've got a good buzz going on, so that helps kind of get through everything. I mean, I've signed my fair share of boobs. That's always fun.
Your fair share of what?
Of boobs. Tits, breasts, knockers,
me too.
boobies, pepperonis.
You too, Sarah?
So, I mean,
probably at some point.
it's always kind of interesting just to see the people and how much they're into it. I guess one of my weirdest encounters was with a fan who came up to me in Ohio and was very excited. I mean, they're shaking and they're talking to me about how much their home life is boring. They're a mom. They've got a couple kids. They don't get to go out much. So the horror convention's the one time of the year they can go out and kind of cut loose. And then she proceeded to tell me that she was on her period. So we couldn't fuck. But she would sure love if I would jerk off on her face. Just make sure I get it in her eye so that it can be red and sticky the rest of the night so she remembers me.
Oh, my God. I think I've heard that one.
I thought that was a pretty good one.
Well, there's no way to top that one.
That might wind up becoming a soundbite for the show later.
Yeah.
Well, going along with that, especially with, you know, the DVD market and everything, have you ever been presented something from another country, you know, like a different DVD cover or poster art or something that you didn't even know existed?
I think someone might have brought up a Killer Biker Chicks picture from somewhere. I can't remember where. I think it was from another country, but we'll randomly get different things that people bring that they find online that we didn't even know were out there. Or I actually had recently we went to a flea market in Chicago, and I had a fan come up to me and have me sign a movie I did. One of my very first movies besides Pajama Party Massacre, called Mutilated Movies. And I didn't even know you could buy that DVD anywhere, and he had it, and he had me sign it. I was like, this is so freaking cool. Like, I didn't even know you could get this anywhere.
It's always cool.
I was like, wow.
I mean, yeah. What about you,
Joe? The fan-made stuff is
anything?
pretty cool, too. Sarah gets a lot of people that'll bring drawings or pictures or, you know, things like that. I had a lovely young woman who made a zombie bukkake statue that she brought and presented to me at a show, which was really cool. You know, fans are great. I mean, there's always this kind of, everybody thinks bad about them that's outside of the genre and thinks, you know, we're all weird, and a lot of us are, but not in a negative way. Everybody's supportive, everybody has fun. The conventions are a great time for that. It's great for networking, it's great for meeting people. You know, I couldn't recommend it enough for a horror fan to try to go. It's unfortunate that in this day and age they've gotten so expensive for people to attend and do stuff. But I mean, that's kind of where it's at right now. So, but we always have fun. We've got one actually this weekend in Minnesota called Crypticon. It's kind of our home show. It's like an hour and a half from where we live. We've been doing from the beginning, and it's always a lot of fun. Just to get back and you see the same people. It's like a family on the road.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, it's with the few films that I've worked on, it's the same whenever I see any of those people. So I definitely get that. Well, we've got a few minutes left in your interview, so before we go, do you have any other future projects that you can tell your fans about?
Yeah, I'm actually, I'll start out. I'm actually working on a film, not this weekend, but next weekend, called Zombie Dolls. And it's by Creep Creeperson. I also worked on a film with him earlier this year called The Bitch That Cried Wolf. And so we're shooting a zombie film in a couple weeks. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. And we have a few more conventions coming up. Gosh, what else, honey?
Well, I just worked on that film last weekend, and I'm brain farting the name. Do you remember the name of it? Well, I can't remember the fucking name, so sorry.
No.
But and then I'm working on three different.
I'm on your IMDb.
It's not going to be it won't be on IMDb because they just booked me for it.
It's by Rick McLeod. I'm brain farting it too.
Yeah. Rick McLeod's the director. Rick, if you're listening, I apologize for
Rick
brain farting.
Please.
I've got half a dozen screenplays that are optioned that are in various states of production, but I try not to talk about too many of them because they become a little more real.
Right.
Because so many things, as you can see from my IMDb page, so many things fall apart. That it gets to be difficult.
Yeah.
And I've got 3 new books I'm working on, so those should
very nice. One
of them I'm going to try through a traditional publisher, so that one may be delayed quite a bit, but the other 2 should come out next year.
Well, if you're not friends with them, Joe, a guy you may want to get in contact with. Do you know Stephen Biro from Unearthed Films?
I don't.
That's a cat you need to get up with. He's written 2 books about his experiences, and I believe his company wound up making their own publishing company because it's just so graphic and everything, and that may be a guy you want to hook up with. I'll send you his contact info after the show, but you 2 have a very similar sense of humor, so I'll definitely send that along. Miss Holly, Before we let them go, Miss Holly, do you have anything you would like to say to our guests?
I just want to thank you for being so welcoming, because I'm pretty much new to all of this. I just went to my first horror convention a little over a month ago, and it's all just kind of snowballed from there. And I got the gig writing, and so it's been a hell of a ride. And this is my first
we wish you a lot of luck with this
podcast.
Well, cool. I appreciate you not hanging up on me.
Well, of course, you can all find Sarah and Joe online on Facebook. Guys, do you want to give your website addresses so people can look you up on there?
Yep, mine is sarahfrenchonline.com. I'm sorry, no, it's Sarah French. Wait, what is it?
It's sarahfrenchonline.com.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
And mine's joeknetter.com.
Well, guys, thank you once again.
We're easy to find. Add us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. You'll see me post whatever happens to pop in my head, and it can be pretty fucked up.
Oh, definitely. I mean, anyone that follows the show, Joe and Sarah, anytime they post, it shows up on mine, so you can definitely find them on there. Guys, once again, I want to thank you for coming on. You're always welcome on the show. You're always welcome on Horror Society. You guys ever have any news, please send it along. I'll make sure it gets up. Good luck with the convention coming up. Good luck on these future projects, and we hope to hear from you guys soon.
Thank you so
sounds good.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sarah French and Joe Knetter, our guests tonight on The Calling Hours. Coming up in a few minutes, we are going to have a Shout Scream Factory Blu-ray and DVD giveaway. There will be copies of Psycho 2 and Day of the Dead for giveaway. We're also going to be doing our review of Scream Factory Psycho 2. So what did you think there, Miss Holly?
That was definitely interesting.
Yeah, Joe's pretty outspoken, but that's what I like about him. You know, reading his work, and like I said, if you ever have a chance to read his Facebook page, it's a lot like talking to Mac, like we do on the private page on Horror Society.
Yeah.
It's actually very highly entertaining. But we're getting ready to go into our next musical interlude. Once again, our feature band this evening on the calling hours is Metal Blade Records' The Black Dahlia Murder. The album is Ever Black. And the song we're going to play is actually the one that Joe brought up that is in reference to Evil Dead. The name of the song is Raped in Hatred by Vines and Thorn. We'll see you back here in about 5 minutes.
Friends
That was the Black Dahlia Murders, Ever Black, or off of the album Ever Black, Raped in Hatred by Vines of Thorn from Metal Blade Records. So I know you said this isn't quite your style of music, but what did you think of it? What did you think of it there, Miss Von Doom?
It wasn't bad from the 30 seconds I heard of it. My sound cut out for most of the song. So I don't know if that was... We'll have to wait for feedback from people. I don't know if that was just my crappy connection or...
I don't know. I mean, I heard it fine, so I don't know. Weird things happen. Well, I mean, once again, we want to say thank you to Sarah French and Joe Knetter for coming on the show. Like I said, definitely a group of talented people. They're always welcome on the show. I look forward to having them back and seeing what they're doing here in the future. So thank you once again, guys, for coming on. And once again, we want to say thank you to Metal Blade for allowing us to spotlight their musical talent every week. Once again, this week's feature artist was the Black Dahlia Murder. We were featuring the album Ever Black. And at the end of the show, we will announce who our spotlight feature will be on for the following week's show. But now we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to do a DVD review of Scream Factory's Psycho 2. But before we do that, we want to announce our contest for the evening. Tonight, we are giving away a Blu-ray copy of Scream Factory's Psycho 2 and a standard definition release of Day of the Dead. I've watched both, the standard definition and the Blu-ray of Day of the Dead. They both look absolutely fantastic. So if you would like to be the winner of said prize pack, please be the first caller at 347-237-5099. So have you ever had the chance to see Psycho 2, Miss Holly Von Doom?
I have not seen the second one. I know I'm probably going to get some talking to from a couple friends, but I've not seen the second one. The first one is one of my favorite movies, though.
Yeah, and it's an interesting premise. A lot of people were concerned that 22 years later they made a sequel to Alfred Hitchcock's classic Psycho. And, you know, I have to be honest with you, the story, it actually meshes very well. Well, hold on. Before we get any further, it looks like we may have a contest winner. Hello, this is the Dedman from Horror Society Radio, the calling hours. Who am I speaking with?
Here speaking with Eric Fromming.
Hi, Eric. How are you doing? Are you calling in for the DVDs this evening?
Yes, I am.
Excellent, excellent.
Hey, Eric.
Do you know Eric?
I do.
Okay. Eric, I'll tell you what you do. Or Holly, if you have it, just send Holly your address on Facebook, and Holly send it to me, and I will get that out in the mail to you.
All right, that sounds good.
I appreciate you listening, man. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
All right. All right,
Yeah.
We had a contest winner. It was pretty quick. It's nice to see you have your friends listening to the show.
I think him and my brother are the only ones that I know of.
You could be surprised when we see the numbers later. Who knows?
Yeah.
But back on the subject, you know, a lot of people were concerned about doing a sequel, you know, to the classic, and I have to admit that the story holds up really well. I mean, it's a feasible story. It's not so much of a cut and dry, oh my God, Norman is killing people again. You know, I think it's a pretty big surprise for a lot of people what happens at the end of the movie. And, you know, one of the things that you always worry about with a release like this is, you know, how does it hold up? The digital transfer, the sound, oh, my God, the special features. What have we got? Well, the first thing that really, really, you know, stuck out, you know, the transfer is absolutely stunning. It's, you know, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's been so long. I haven't seen the movie since it probably came out. But, Scream Factory once again just blows me away with how beautiful this film looks. The sound is excellent. Special features, there's an all-new audio commentary with screenwriter Tom Holland. There is I don't know what you want to call it. When it first comes up, it looks like it is the video press release for the film. And when I say that, I mean the original video press release that they sent off. And it's just amazing. Now, it doesn't have the same digital quality as the film, and there are small parts where audio cuts out, but it's an amazing wealth of information. And I mean, Anthony Perkins, Richard Franklin, Meg Tilly, Vera Miles. I mean, everyone that was pretty much in the movie or associated with the movie in some context is in the special features. And, I mean, it's just amazing to see. Now, one of the things that was interesting, and I know you know this being a big fan of Scream Factory, what are your thoughts on the alternate artwork covers? Do you like the drawn ones, or do you prefer the original cover art?
I love them. I'm a big fan of alternate artwork in general, so I love seeing where they go with different movies. Especially going back to the Vincent Price collection that they went with some Joel Robinson artwork, which I met him at this last horror convention that I went to, and he's an awesome guy, and I'm excited to see his artwork getting out there like that.
Well, here's the interesting thing, though. Psycho 2 and Psycho 3, Psycho 3, by the way, is what will be the movie next week. When they were putting together the packages for the films, the company, Universal, asked them to use the original artwork. So this is one of the few Scream Factory titles that actually does not have alternate artwork for it. And I think it would have been interesting to see what the artist would have come up with as a concept. But again, it's beautiful packaging. I wouldn't trade anything. I mean, it's pretty much a classic look as it is. You can't argue with the cover that's got, Anthony Perkins sitting there, on the cover. I mean,
Anthony Perkins, period.
What's that? No, you can't.
So you can't go wrong with Anthony Perkins, period.
No, not at all. I mean, a talent is a talent. It's a shame he's not with us anymore. It would have been great, especially now you have the Bates Motel series, which is very popular. And, now what are your thoughts on that? Do you watch that?
I watched most of the first season. I didn't see, the last 3 episodes, but what I saw and where it was going, I really liked it. Just kind of seeing that progression of Norman turning into, what we know from Psycho. Right.
Well, spoiler alert there. I'm hoping most of my audience has seen this. If everyone remembers, one of the big twists in Psycho 2 is Norman's mother was not his real mother, that he had been given up for adoption. So, of course, that adds an interesting twist to the whole thing. But, as far as the release goes, again, especially, the completist that I am, having the Blu-rays, makes all the difference. I wouldn't trade it off for anything in the world. Special features, it's kind of hard. You had the interviews with the director and all of that, and the old footage of Anthony Perkins. It would definitely be interesting to see what he would have to say, about the movies right now, and the things that go on with that. Like I said, I think it was interesting that the company wanted to keep the original artwork and not go with, the new stuff, which has pretty much been Shout Factory's forte. I think it's really been something that's been a calling card for them. when you hear about a title like this, one that that you've admittedly have not seen, what are your thoughts when you see some of these older titles released by them?
I love it because being a younger horror fan, it kind of brings some of the classics back to life, and it kind of brings them out into the masses again. Because because a lot of them before Shout Factory, I'd never heard of them, and it kind of just brings them to the forefront for us younger fans to just kind of experience these older movies in a new light.
Right. Now looking back at a series like this, were you aware of the fact that there had been sequels to the original?
Yes. I just never had access to see them.
That's true. I mean, they were kind of hard to find on DVD, and now, of course, with Shout Factory and Scream Factory putting it out, more of the younger generation that had not had the opportunity to see these films now will.
I'll
of course, there's
getting them.
And then there's the third one, and then there was another movie, and then unfortunately Anthony passed on, and we never got to see anything else. Now, how do you feel? You talked about how you would watch the first season of the show. How do you feel, even though it's a younger Norman Bates, how do you feel the character is played in the series as opposed to how Anthony Perkins played it?
I think they've actually done, I didn't see the last 3 episodes, so I don't know if it continued that way. But from what I saw, I think they really made a good, solid connection there between young Norman and adult Norman. Because they had started kind of bringing in some of the older Norman's tendencies slowly, and you learn where those tendencies came from and why he does what he does.
And and it's interesting looking back now, like I had mentioned, for this movie, one of the twists at the end is you find out that Mrs. Bates was not Norman's original mother, that was actually his mother's sister that took him in, and that his mother had also had mental issues of her own, which is why she had to give Norman up. Looking, knowing that plot point now, and looking at society today, do you feel like that's a route they would have taken, or do you feel that would have been, a little bit more risque? They would have, completely come up with something else?
I don't think it's too far-fetched, and maybe that's just because I'm a slasher fan, so pretty much everything is kind of far-fetched in the slasher world, but I don't see it being too out there.
Now, here you go, being the slasher fan that you are, and, of course, in terms of historical significance, it's great, but where do you feel Norman stacks up against other slashers in the genre?
Being as Psycho is one of my favorite movies, Norman Bates was pretty high up there with your Jasons and your Michael Myers, but I'm sure plenty of other people have other opinions because he's more, I don't want to say normal, but he kind of is.
Right, he's a more humanized aspect of the, if you want to call it the monster.
There's no curse.
He's definitely a very interesting character study. He's definitely very different than what you would, a Hannibal Lecter or something like that. A little bit more of a diabolical mind, whereas Norman seems to be a little bit more of a passive mind, I guess, would be a good way to put it.
Yes.
But I mean, thinking about it in a toe-to-toe, of course, Norman is the classic, but we had the horrible remake of Psycho, several years ago. I know, right? It makes you almost makes you want to cry. It's just sad, just wasted potential. But at least these classics are getting to live again. And Scream Factory again is the driving force behind all of this. So not too sure. How the modern fan, the younger fan, will take the series and the film. A lot of people will look down on it just as a sequel. Alfred didn't direct it. He didn't have anything to do with that aspect of it. But I feel like the series went into good hands with the second one. It's definitely not the worst film in the world. And if you have not had the opportunity to check it out, I certainly think that you should. And you can certainly pick that up at Shout Factory and Scream Factory's website. They're also on Facebook. Highly recommend going out there and checking them out. So, and like I said, next week's DVD or Blu-ray review will be Psycho 3, and we will have another Blu-ray and DVD giveaway next week as well. And I have to admit, I've had fun tonight, Miss Holly. I hope you enjoyed it.
I've had a blast.
So tell everyone on online real quick, where your tendencies tend to lie as a writer on Horror Society, and what we can expect from you here in the coming months.
I mostly do reviews, but I've got a couple movies that I've been talking to, one of which is Red Rose, starring R.A. Mielhoff, who I met him at the convention a couple weeks ago, and he's an awesome dude, so I'm really excited for that. And I believe I'm doing one on a small movie called Porcelain Presence. Mm-hmm. And I'm really excited, again, about this one, just because I love getting out there and helping these smaller movies get recognized, because there's so much potential talent out there that sometimes it just doesn't go anywhere because they don't have the means to get themselves out there. And the third one, I believe the site has covered a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth, is the Black Dahlia Haunting.
Yes.
Which, for the Ghost Hunter fans out there, Britt from Ghost Hunters is one of the main characters in that movie.
Well, I mean, that worked in, considering the fact that we played the Black Dahlia Murder tonight. And one of my other favorites. One of my other favorite scream queens out there, since we're talking Black Dahlia. Hi, Devaney Penn. How are you? Make sure to watch her movie, the Black Dahlia Murder, which based on the events. So, real quick before we go, you can find Miss Holly Von Doom on Facebook. You can also find her on Horror Society as well. And, of course, you can find the Dedman on Horror Society and at slitofthewristeffects.com. Or, excuse me, on Slit of the Wrist Effects. Don't have the .com yet. Working on that. So, once again, we want to say thank you to our guests, Sarah French and Joe Knetter. We also want to say thank you to Metal Blade Records for allowing us to play some Black Dahlia Murder this evening, and Shout and Scream Factory for sending us a copy of Psycho 2 to review and for the DVD giveaways. So once again, thank you for listening. We shall see you on Horror Society at www.horrorsociety.com. And as we're leaving, next week's feature artist from Metal Blade Records will be Amon Amarth. Off of their most recent CD, Deceiver of the Gods, the song is Shapeshifter. And until next week, rest in peace.